Hello, world and universe. Welcome to the Trevor Donald Experience. Manifest your truth. And if you're new to the channel, please hit that like and subscribe button. And for all my continued followers, I want to say thank you. And this is an opinion-based video channel where I try to open your eyes and ears up to some of the travails and tribulations that take place throughout our cities, our states, our country, and sometimes around the world. And this story I got for you is close to St. Louis, Missouri, just on the other side of the river in O'Fallon, Illinois. Here in the bi-state area, we have in O'Fallon, Missouri, which is a suburb of St. Louis. And then you have on the other side, on the Illinois side, O'Fallon, Illinois, which is a suburb of St. Clair County. And this story has to deal with a bank executive that was involved in a alleged stealing banking scheme, a check kiting scheme. So what is this? We hear stories all the time about bank executives stealing money and getting caught. But what are some of the caveats to this story, where I think it's wrapped around arrogance, narcissism, and greed, and possibly mental illness for this second in command bank executive to think that he could get away with this check kiting scheme when there are so many technological footprints in many of our industries today, and definitely the banking system. Things are a push of a button, things are transactional, but there's a technological footprint. And for folks who are stealing on a high executive level in the banking industry, for them to think that they can cover it up lends to a little bit of hubris on their behalf. What it also shows you is that we make this presumption just because a person is older that they are more honest. That's not necessarily true. In this human experience, what you'll find is if somebody is silly, immature, greedy, living on the edge of criminality when they were young, they probably are doing it when they get older. Very few people self-reflect and try to change themselves, and many people use projection when they have problems or things go awry. You also have to remember that many people have it backwards. Your personal life has to be in good standing before your public life. So you could be an executive in corporate America, you could be a professional athlete, and be an expert at your craft and your field. But if your personal life is ajar, that is going to carry over into your professional life. And I think this is a scenario in this story where that took place. Something must be going on, because this bank executive that allegedly committed this check kiting scheme was 70 years old. 70. I mean, if you haven't made it and been successful by that point in your life, for some of your goals and aspirations, it's probably not going to happen. Most people in America are going to peak in their level of success in a career or profession, definitely by the time they're 35, 40, let alone at 50. But to still have a certain level of greed and possible criminality at 70, something is completely awry. We can't take any of these material goods with us when we pass and or die. So what would be the point? But this guy was the number 2 guy at O'Fallon Bank in Illinois. So let's get into the story. And he ended up getting caught, of course, and sentenced to prison at 70. And he has been accused of multiple things. So former O'Fallon, Illinois bank executive has been sentenced in a $2 million check kiting scheme. St. Clair County, Illinois. A federal judge has sentenced a former second in command at Bank of America in O'Fallon, Illinois. The bank is called Bank of O'Fallon. The executive has been sentenced to several years behind bars in connection with a $2 million check kiting fraud scheme. So let's get into the story. Now, this guy is 70, not 30, not 40. And we always have this presumption that our elders are honest and are law-abiding, good-standing citizens, but that's not always true. That exterior sometimes does not add up to the interior of a person. Andrew Blassie, 70, was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months in prison on Thursday and also ordered to pay nearly $2.5 million in restitution. The man is 70. He's the number 2 guy at the Bank of O'Fallon in Illinois. He pleaded guilty to charges of bank fraud and interstate transportation of security or funds obtained by fraud in May. Blassie served as the executive vice president for the Bank of O'Fallon from September 2023 to September 2024 for 1 year and stole $1,972,887.67 in a check kiting scheme while employed, according to his federal indictment. Investigators say he falsely inflated, this is what he did, he falsely inflated the balance of his personal checking account at the Bank of O'Fallon, Illinois, by depositing checks he knew were not backed by sufficient funds. And we all know, if for us that are living check by check, month by month, having a check that bounces or has insufficient funds has happened to everybody. And this guy, the hypocrisy in this entire situation is that he's depositing checks in his own bank as the number 2 guy of the bank with insufficient funds. He deposited the checks into 4 personal accounts, including one at Bank of O'Fallon in Illinois and 3 at other banks. So look at the arrogance and the hubris in this guy. This cannot be the first time this man has done this in the banking industry. This may be the first time he's gotten caught, but this level of arrogance and the technological footprints that are going to follow him all the way to criminal court, and him not realizing that, and the level of greed is beyond me. Blassie paid nearly $2.7 million for personal expenses from the falsely inflated account using funds that belonged to the bank, then attempted to conceal the fraud by scrubbing his name and account number from the suspecting kiting reports, according to his indictment. From August 2022 to September 2024, Blassie also persuaded a couple from Lebanon, Illinois, to give him $489,000 of their retirement savings. He agreed to pay the couple's interest on the notes and used the money obtained through his check kiting scheme to pay that interest. So not only is he stealing from the bank, but he's getting outside customers, and one family in particular from Lebanon, Illinois, to give him $500,000. So whatever this, and remember, the story is important. This guy is 70 years old and married. He's a number 2 guy at O'Fallon Bank in Illinois. He's got to be making 6 figures. My assumption or presumption is he's probably been in the banking business his entire adult life to reach the point to be number 2 at O'Fallon Bank in Illinois. I don't believe that this is the first time that this man has possibly done this kind of theft. He's just probably gotten away with it until now at 70. Investigators say as security for Blassie's promissory notes, he pledged 128 of his and his wife's shares of the parent company, which owns the Bank of O'Fallon in Illinois. So here again, not only is this guy number 2, second in command at the Bank of O'Fallon in Illinois, he's number 2 in charge, but he also has a number of shares in the bank, and he also is getting a nice sizable salary. but he still decided that he needed to steal and get that bag by any means necessary, which does not make any sense in today's time. He's 70 years old. He's at retirement age. You're talking about Medicare. You're talking about his retirement savings. Um, he's at a place where he should be relaxing and enjoying life and not trying to take and steal away from life. It makes no sense. He's also at the age of receiving Social Security benefits. We all work hard each and every day to reach the point to get to 70, hope to live that long, and to have a nice sizable retirement. Why is this man stealing $3 million and has his wife involved and another couple? According to the indictment, Blassie later sold most of those shares and did not use those funds to repay the Lebanon couple. This left the couple with no means of recourse when Blassie later defaulted on the promissory notes. The U.S. Secret Service is committed to pursuing criminal actors who seek to rip off law-abiding citizens and undermine our nation's financial system in the process. This was an outrageous scheme that hurt innocent victims, said acting resident agent in charge David Bolin of the U.S. Secret Service's Springfield resident office. The U.S. Department of Justice says officials with the Bank of O'Fallon, Illinois, fully cooperated with law enforcement during the investigation. So, yes, we've heard about executives, Wall Street folks stealing money, pilfering the nest egg of many people. But this actually happened here locally in the St. Louis and Metro East area. And here again, this gentleman, Mr. Blassie, was 70, married, stole a couple of $1 million from his own bank, which he owned shares, and took a sizable salary. And then he allegedly conned a couple into them giving him another $500,000 that he had no intention on paying back. Now at 70, instead of retiring and living in Florida, he is going to retire in federal prison where he was sentenced to 5 years and 3 months at 70 years old. His family has to be embarrassed. If he has children, I'm sure grandchildren, this was not a great scenario for Grandpa Blassie, who was an executive at the Bank of O'Fallon in Illinois and committed this crime. Tell me what you think.